Perfect. So let's start off this week like we always like to start off with positive. I call it PMA, and I've run that little acronym for the last, I don't know, probably 15 or so years, maybe almost 20. And it's positive mental attitude, which starts with Thanksgiving and thankfulness. So let's start with some Thanksgiving and wins for the week. Anybody got some wins they want to share with the group today? Yes, sir. Steve. How you doing, Steve? Go ahead and unmute
Good.
yourself there. Perfect.
Um, we got a big job coming up next month, and we haven't done anything in about 4 weeks. And again, we're just getting started in this. So I went to one of my multi-tenant buildings, and we did a free job first. She gave us a nice review, and then she, was really happy with the work and told me to price a couple of her other buildings that I don't service, and they're both like 160 space lots. So that's good. And we did a nice drone video of it, which I showed today to a bank that I was bidding on a bank. So that's a small, it's like 65 spaces. But
Sweet.
yeah, just trying to keep it moving.
Congratulations. Keep that stuff going. And the nice thing that I like hearing is when you pay something forward to get your feet wet, you're obviously giving some value. You're also getting value with experience and posting that stuff. Oh man, it's great. Congratulations. Awesome. Christian, hey, good to see you in person, brother. Great looking beard.
Man.
Tell me
Hey,
about a win. Let's go.
all right. Oh, this actually has to do with the AK Dash. So I did an estimate earlier today. Three different people that did estimates for this couple at their home. I sent my proposal through AK Dash, and they chose me because of my presentation and like how high quality my estimate form was. And I was the highest bidder of all of them. So that's awesome.
Look at that. I see Dylan giving you some reactions there. Dylan's the lead on AK Dash, so I'm sure he's happy to hear that. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, that's amazing, Christian. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, y'all.
That's fantastic. Good job, brother. Keep it up. Keep filling those pipelines. Make sure you get a ton of those in there so that not necessarily everyone will land, but as you start filling that pipeline, they'll start falling out no matter what size project that is. And I love the feedback though. Thank you, sir. Right on. All right. Anyone else have something they want to share? Any wins? Anyone? Well, I'll share one of mine then. So it's interesting. I find I find wins in really weird areas, and it's partly to do with persistence, a consistence, a consistency, persistence. I I just trying to figure out why I'm always surprised about it. I find that I'm always following up, and I don't like calling it following up. If I'm connecting, providing value, if I'm connecting and providing something more than what they had, something that someone can use, sometimes it's just a great time and a great, a conversation. And they know that somebody that's real on the other end of that's not going to be hosing them for something. And being a Canadian, I use the word hose. But um I worked with this last gentleman for probably about 3 or 4 weeks, and lots and lots and lots of connections, lots and lots of reassurances, lots and lots of answering of questions. Some people come into this very worried about something because of past experiences. When you give them value, you show them what we can do, you give them backup information, and some people need a lot of details. Finally closed on the deal today, and they're happy to move forward and looking forward to working with us as well. So I'm really excited and happy that we got to work with another person here at Asphalt Kingdom, just growing our network. And that was my win for today. Awesome. So today I figured, I know we've been doing some of our, thanks, Christian. I know we've been doing some of our last couple weeks here on a few things that have to do with um, newer people in the industry. And that's great. We can continue doing some of that stuff, especially for some questions we have coming up here as well. But what I wanted to ask was for people that have been in the industry a while, first of all, anybody on the screen that I can see been in the industry for more than a year? I think Skylar for sure. Okay, so we're all relatively new. I'm going to have to pivot then, because most of what I was going to ask about was what are some of the things you find as you grow past a year, 2 years, or 3 years to kind of grow to that space? And it's not an irrelevant question. It just means maybe we should talk to somebody like Skylar to give us a bit of insight and what we should be looking forward to with our consistent activity. So I'd like to start there to give you guys some forethought and foresight onto what you should be expecting and what some of the difficulties could be coming up in the next year, 2 years, or 3 years that you guys see coming. Anybody see any value in that, or should I just move on to the next thing? Michael, I see your hand up. Anybody else? Fantastic. Alex, Julia, thank you. Okay, so I'll ask Skylar, since you've been through this, and what are some of the things that when you went through your first year, kind of stumbling through, you're kind of making mistakes here and there, whatever it is, you're quoting as much as you possibly can. What hits you that next year, that second and third year, that you didn't quite expect at the very beginning?
Man, I don't want to make, I think I'm going to always kind of probably relate it back to people, right? You know, I thought it would have been a little bit easier, where and again, I don't want to say it was as hard as what I thought. I look back and I'm like, man, if I would have just pivoted differently and I would have hired a better person from the beginning, my life would have been significantly easier. So I think that would be finding the right hire would be what I thought was hard because I just didn't know how to hire yet. Especially in the early years. Like if I could go back and redo it all, I would hire way better, way faster instead of just trying to find a labor hand for 10 or 15 bucks an hour. I'm trying to find an all-star, and it might just be me and that all-star, but that would have served me so much more than trying to just find somebody. You know, a lot, you know, we used to make the joke like a warm body, or if they can fog a mirror, you know, you could use them, right? Like those type of things, like where we did for years. And like it was always me out in the field, like trying to get behind guys and lead them and do the thing. And like it was like I was pulling them uphill instead of just having other people that were climbing next to me, and we could have climbed it a lot quicker. And again, I think it is hard in year one to say, man, I need to find a really good guy and I need to pay him well. And it almost, you know, I'm not saying give away equity, right? But I am saying it might seem daunting at first to be like, man, you're paying this guy as much as you're getting paid in the early years. Like, yeah, that's what it takes to find a good person. And I think that is so important because the success will come so much quicker.
So what I'm hearing really is take your time, make sure you're finding an A player slash possibly B player, and somebody that wants to, willing to, open to learning, coachable, somebody that's saying, yeah, I totally want to be in this business with you, showing you all the signs of actually wanting to be that partner that you've been looking for, correct? Not
Yeah.
just picking the first guy that kind of shows up.
Yeah, I think what people don't understand about that, right, is like the arbitrage that exists. Like as business owners, like really, like our job is to employ people that give us an ROI, right? Every dollar we deploy as business owners, we need to get a return on. And what people don't understand is, you know, they want to make the first hire and they say, okay, I'm going to hire this person for 15 bucks an hour, you know, whatever, 20 bucks an hour might be more realistic nowadays, right? Okay, 20 bucks an hour. And they're like, I just don't understand, you know, then I'm like, no, you need to hire a $40 an hour employee. And they're like, but I don't understand. But when you hire a $40 an hour employee, the $20 an hour employee might make you 200 grand, and the $40 an hour employee makes you 300 grand, right? Like that's the difference in hiring better quality people from the gate. Because it's really, you don't need to be able to afford that person for the year. You just need to be able to afford them for a runway, right? You know, whether it's 3 weeks, 3 months, I look at everything in seasons of 3 months. I say, do I have the cash to hire this person for 3 months to gain a return? And that's typically how I hire. But like when you have a good person, the amount of money spread between the lower paying person to typically the higher paying person. And that's not always the case. You can hire higher paid people that still did not make a return on your money. That happens. But typically you have a better chance to give someone that gives a higher return instead of hiring two $20 an hour employees and making 200 grand and having two headaches. You hire one $40 an hour employee and make 300 grand and typically little to no headaches.
Let me ask you then, if I'm running through 50 resumes, what am I looking for? What are some of the boxes I should be ticking that say, hey, that guy's sticking out to me? Why is that guy sticking out to me? Ding, 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 ding. What are some of the things you look for when you're looking? Because I know you still hire, you're trying to hire A players all the time, but you don't always find them. But what is it, the guy that shoots up and he's that hedgehog, you know, that, what is that? That when you're hitting with the mallet? The gopher. Where's the gopher that pops up for you?
Yeah, it's very it's different now, I think, a little bit than then. But now I'll give them now because I think the wisdom now would have been the same thing I would have been looking for then. But like I'm typically looking for success records. I'm typically not trying to hire unemployed people, to be transparent nowadays. Like I am not looking for people that need jobs. I'm looking for people that have proven success records that I want to have join my opportunity instead of the opportunity they're in. And that's really more than I'm looking for than anything is like, oh, this guy is whatever director of operations at X, Y, and Z company. How do I get him to leave X, Y, and Z company and come to Procio? Because that guy obviously has done it for them and they're doing, and typically I always look for bigger, right? Like, or we just hired a sales manager, and my stipulation on a sales manager was I needed to hire a sales manager that did $20 million in annualized sales with a team of 15 or more. Because it's not that I'm in that position today, but I need someone that's going to be able to move me to that position and understand what it's like to build, grow, and nurture a team to that position. And then also have lateral movement of, I very much believe he could become director of sales and VP of sales, maybe eventually. So, those are the things I look for. Do they have vertical growth inside of the company? And do they have a current proven track record that they're actually hiring? And again, I understand how overwhelming some of this might sound at start or year one. But what I would tell you is just build relationships in the beginning. Go to all of your local contractors. Like, do you know how many guys it's just happened organically where like I'm friends with other pavers or things like that. And he's like, hey man, like this guy's actually like, I can't afford to keep a good guy, could you use him? And all of a sudden he comes over with me for a little while. And now all of a sudden he's on my team. Right. And it's been good. I kept the relationship with the contractor. We still pass work back and forth. He just wasn't able to weather that storm. And it happened to work out. So I think in the beginning, those are like the natural, organic, now I'm very much on the side of like recruiting and headhunting, and typically I'm probably paying for employees, right? I'm paying a premium of someone's salary to get somebody here. But
So
in the beginning, those are the organic ways.
Let's dial it back. I know you're at a different level than most of the gentlemen are on the screen here, or ladies that we're talking about here right now. If I'm trying to hire my first guy, what am I looking to hire? Even if he's a $40 an hour guy, what am I looking for? What are some of the specific things I want to see? You said he's got some success. What if I can't find a guy that's part of another seal coating team because I don't have those relationships built yet? So I'm just finding a brand spanking new guy. Do I want a young guy? Do I want an old guy? Do I want a guy that's 50 years old, that's already done seal coating for 20 years, that I don't necessarily have the ability to train the way I want to? What am I looking for? Just sort of some quick check marks that I can check off. I know it's not an easy question.
It isn't, because it's very loaded and it's preference, right? I was literally just talking about this last Friday because I hire people better than me to fill deficiencies, right? Pretty much the same story. We can go back to sales, I think, because it's very easy, right? You can go back to sales and say, hey, I understand my sales process is a mess. I don't really have a documented process. I'm not sure what to do. Here is what I have. I've served 50 customers at this point. Here, fix it, right? And if that person can't fix that problem, it's not the right hire, right? And you give them a runway, 30 days. Fix the problem in 30 days, if not next, right? I like athletes as well too, but I am very much where I like to give the freedom to the individual because they're the expert. And I do hire both ends. I hire young kids that are super hungry, and I hire older experienced guys. And I've seemed to level off more. I've switched the pendulum almost completely now, where like 40 plus is my team because they're just more responsible. They're weathered. They might not necessarily been in this industry, but they have life experience and they have responsibilities and they show up and they're just looking to do their thing.
Got it. Okay, cool. those answer some of the things and I would it's funny because I hired for 10 years and I know how that works. You're going through just so many, and sometimes it just takes sitting down in front of a lot of applicants to kind of weed out what you're getting and figure it out. Sometimes just put them on a trial basis. Hey, I'll try you for a couple weeks. If it works out, great. If it's not, hey, you're competing against 3 other guys. You might just bring 3 or 4 guys in and say, okay, so let's see how this works. You might have a gopher
Yeah.
that pops up, right?
Yep,
So,
we've done all of those. Another thing that has been a good success tracker for us lately is we add tasks to employees. So we'll do 3 interviews. The first one's the phone interview. We'll talk to them via phone interview. At the end of that interview, we recommend a book. The book is $14 on Amazon. There's 2 deliverables with that book. Text me when you bought it. Text me when you read it. Some people will tell you right on the phone, why would I spend $14 on a book? You're right. Why would I spend my hard-earned money on you? You're not the right person. Next, right? Right there gets rid of 75% of the applicants. So you get 7 out of 10 lose. Now you have 3 out of 10 that actually have some type of grit, tenacity, or follow through. So then again, 2 deliverables. Sometimes they'll text you when they buy it, if they bought it, and then you don't get the text when it's read. But after you get that second text, now we invite them in for a second in-person interview to sit down and, kind of weed out of the candidates of there. And there is sometimes we do kind of throw them in the Colosseum, right, of the Roman days, and we put 2 warriors in the seat and we say, who's going to win?
I like that you, when you have somebody putting their own skin in the game, especially to start with, it tells you a lot about who that person is and if they're willing to grow or change or move or develop or open to coaching or open to, being a team player. And I like how you put that out there. That's huge. Yeah, that's awesome. Anybody have questions on that first part?
I think one other thing that needs to be fit in, and most people don't understand this in the beginning, is your vision needs to be big enough to fit an A player in the business. Because if you're like, hey, I'm Johnny and we're always going to be Johnny and it's going to be just me and you, it might not be the easiest thing to attract A players. But if you say, hey, man, I want to grow this thing as far as you're willing to work with me, and it might be just me and you right now, but as long as you stick by my side, we can do this. All of a sudden people see opportunity in that, and they want more, right? Sometimes they are stuck. We get a lot of guys that are just like stuck at that cap, right? They're doing what they've been doing and they're just looking for more. So if you can paint that picture of opportunity and progression with them, it does help a ton. It is like almost one of the most important factors all the way through the business. I'm still using that today.
Funny how sales becomes a thing that you have to have, whether you're selling to a product or service or you're selling a dream of what you're actually moving towards. So you're right. If I didn't see a dream with Judd, I wouldn't be here selling for Asphalt Kingdom. I wouldn't be doing this because it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It's not big enough. It's not free enough. It doesn't give me enough opportunity. If you talk to anybody that's capped already, they're suddenly going, well, where's the opportunity then? I want to know what it is that I'm coming to be part of. What type of team am I dealing with? Are we looking to shoot for the moon or the stars or some point that's so far we can't even see it yet, but I want to be something, part of something that's exciting and changing and moving. I like that. That's great. Anybody have questions about this first part? Well, man alive, we answer all the questions without questions being asked. That's great. That's awesome.
Skylar, what was
Okay,
the name of the book?
We have different ones for different hires. Our sales hire is integrity-based selling. We use the book Elevate as well too for a lot of production or crew members, and it's a business where everybody wins because that's like part of our mission statement. So those are like the 2 books that we use.
Got it.
Some of the things I like that we're poking out here. Anybody that's learning and bringing this stuff into their own, their own team. Listen to some of the nuggets. One of the things that I heard you just say, Skylar, was the fact that you have people with what did you just say? And I just lost it because I was thinking about how to say that. Memo. Can you repeat what you just said to Dylan?
I said we use integrity-based selling for the books, and then the other one is Elevate, a business where everybody wins, because that is part of our mission statement.
Mission statement, right. So everybody gets to know and understand what mission statements are as well. And when you bring your company together and give yourself a full circle, you plan out your next 18 months, you put in core values, you add in value to your team members so they understand what their goals and dreams can be. It's just all about giving that end goal and completing targets and goals that you might set for each team member. And I love that you said that they get to be part of that too. So that's huge at Asphalt Kingdom as well. I don't know if you've noticed that most of us have something called a lighthouse in our backgrounds. And it's not something Judd had us do. It was something we all want to be that lighthouse for every one of the guys we deal with, every one of the guys and gals we deal with. We want to be that lighthouse for them, whether it's information, whether it's product and supplies, whether it's just a chat because you're trying to figure out how to deal with something specifically. We do the lighthouse because of it. All right, so we talk about hiring. Now, what about retaining? How do you find that? Like, obviously, some of these relationships you've gone through, Skylar, have ended. And do you realize why now at some point in time? Was it just not big enough dreams? What was it that really ended some of the relationships that you thought were going to last that didn't?
Wrong hires is really what it is. It comes down to wrong hires. And like, I'm very much in a season right now where like, if you are not the best and you don't perform, you don't belong on the team. And I really don't care about anything else because that's not our job, right? We're a football team. We're a, whatever you want to say, a Formula One team where if anybody slips, we have seconds, we have minutes, especially in this business with seasonality and everything, right? Like things happen, but at the end of the day, it's the pledge between me and my employees and the employees and me that like you leave it at the field, right? You leave it on the field. You do everything you can during the day. So yeah, I mean, really, like I don't think I've had a hire that wasn't a right fit. I've let a lot of things slide. I've never been like, oh man, I am so sorry I lost someone. I'm not. I'm really not. I typically knew they should have been gone 6 months earlier, a year earlier. And I dealt with the $20-$30 an hour employee because I thought I needed to get by. And the pain of just doing it myself was better than letting cancer exist in my environment, right? Because it just drags everybody down. And all of a sudden you think you're going to have this like back step or this back pedal, but you know, the guy that's been holding out and hasn't said anything is the one that steps up and really leaves it on the field because he's had every day, right? So, and again, back to your point of retention is core values and mission statement as well too. As long as we're all working towards the same goal and we understand what that is and we live by the same values every day, team members that don't fit don't leave. So, and it's your job as a leader on top of that to make sure that everybody knows what your mission statement is and knows what your core values are. I was at dinner with someone last Friday evening and he runs a window tinting business and he's talking about culture and all this stuff. And I said, okay, now call one of your employees right now and tell me what the core values is. And he's like, well, I don't think they know it. And I was like, well, then I think your culture is BS. You might have a group of guys that get along, but you don't have a common goal and mission that you guys are all working towards. And it's your job as the owner. It's your fault that they don't know that.
There are a few different ways of having employees that don't necessarily work out leave. One is you basically go through a process where you're like, okay, we've talked about this a couple times. This isn't working for us, and I'm sure it's not working for you because I'm feeling like you're at the bottom of the barrel doesn't make anybody feel great. So I'm going to ask, this is going to be our final day, whatever it is. So that's one way, and that's typically your entry level type of worker, whatever it is. It's not necessarily your elite guys. When it comes to elite guys, typically they walk themselves out the door, because you're holding them to a standard. You said you yourself, you're looking at it from a perspective of a coaching mentality that I'm giving you instructions and those instructions aren't coming true to what we talked about. Plus the results are showing that they're not being acted upon, if that makes sense. So I'll have a conversation. So I ended up having to eliminate a manager at one point, and the issues were this, and there was a list, and I had gone through it multiple times with this person. And basically at the end of the day, I said, what are you going to do to change this? And I want to see this in writing in the next 2 days. They walked themselves out of the door within like 20 minutes and it was over. So, because they knew based on what I was asking them, they were not going to complete, they hadn't completed, and they didn't want to complete anything they were talking about and they had committed to. So hopefully that gives you a bit of idea too. So there's a bit of a different level space when it comes to employees. Guys that are entry level doing that stuff, you typically would either have their direct superior deal with it, or if you're still newer and it's just yourself, then obviously you take care of that yourself. But hopefully that gives a little bit of insight into hiring and letting people go at some point in time if you haven't had that before. Anybody, any feedback on that side of things? Man, you're doing a great job, Skylar. Good job.
Or they're all
Okay.
sleeping. I just bored them to death. I don't know. One of the
That's
two.
it.
I'm either
We're all
killing it or
sleeping.
they're sleeping.
Skylar, how long have you been in business?
This business or owning a business?
This one.
This
No,
one.
this one.
This is 5 years.
Okay, so 5 years, all of this is pretty fresh in your mind on how you got started and where you are now. And that's a big leap in 5 years, man. You know, from starting out watching videos and doing it yourself to hiring the right people to being able to hire the right people. For people that are just getting started or you're in the midstream of your business right now, that's huge because you have someone right now that did it in 5 years. And if Skylar can do it, you can do it. And that's the point there. You know, listening to this kind of advice from someone who has it fresh in their mind from when they started to now is huge. And how do you duplicate success? You duplicate success. It's just that easy. It's hard work, but it's easy to do if you follow the right places.
Thanks for the lead in, Robert.
Jeff, you're definitely right. Started at COVID, grew in COVID, grew through COVID. And let me tell you what, I have lots of fun stories about COVID in itself, right? You know, like talking about starting a business where there was massive material shortages everywhere, you know, and we had our largest project of a lifetime, right? You know, 2.5 million square feet to complete during this one project. I had one guy driving state to state, picking up paint just to be able to paint it on a crunch timeline. So like, it's definitely, you know, it wasn't sunshine and rainbows the whole journey either. There was definitely learning curves and whatever you want to call them. You know, the COVID thing, the recession, the downturn, but it was an upturn in our industry. So I think it's another thing that shows how strong it is.
Awesome. So my next one goes into more of, as you developed your first year, did you start by yourself or did you already start with a team when you first began?
It was me, my wife, and 2 high school kids.
Okay, perfect. So this does lead into my next one then. So my next question is, and this is great for people that are brand new in here, is you'll come to a point in your business, and you came to this point as well, where you couldn't do sales and performing yourself anymore. It became too much. It became almost like a seesaw battle, trying to figure out when I go from full-time sales and full-time performing to I need to pick something. How does that look for somebody brand new?
Man, I don't know, the mute button was sticking. So what I did for a while was I worked full time in the field and I did all the sales and all the estimating in the evening for years. We then incorporated some AI and some topographical stuff that eliminated a lot, right? We started off with Google Maps, right? You know, that was all we had. And I could start doing quote unquote desktop appraisals, right? You know, before it was really a cool thing, you know. We measured them and it was like, yeah, here's the quote. We got the square footage. We're not just going by a picture or anything, right? So there was some legitimacy to it when you could say, well, here's your measured area and it's this many square foot. You didn't just text me a picture like majority of the contractors in my town and I texted you a number. We put it in a proposal and we said how many square foot it was, and that helped. And then it just got to a point where I couldn't do it anymore. And I went opposite way first. And what I did, and it's still kind of the model that I use today, was in production, if I couldn't afford the full-time employee yet, so what I used was performance partners to bridge the gap. And once I hit like what I thought was a comparable enough revenue, and at that point, you know, I was aiming for like 500-ish thousand bucks of revenue, right? Of like, if I needed to hire a line painter, I needed to do sub out 500-ish thousand dollars of line painting, and then I can hire a full-time guy and make sure that's my line painter guy. And I did that through seasons of the business to bridge my gaps instead of saying, oh, I need to take the burden of this full-time employee on or whatever it was. So I sealed and painted until I couldn't seal and paint anymore. And then the next constraint was, well, I just kept sealing because I had a team sealing, but I couldn't paint anymore because I was so busy sealing. And then I had a subcontractor. And then I actually taught a guy how to paint to become my subcontractor because I wanted more flexibility. And then that guy I hired then a year later after that in-house, and I kind of proved that model out. Same thing with sales was like, I sold until I couldn't sell anymore. And I did a time audit of what the constraint was. And it was like, I had no more time. No matter how much harder I worked, I couldn't sell any more jobs. So I had to hire my first salesperson once I was fully, out of the field. And then from there, second, and then sales manager and, those type of things. So that's how I bridged my gaps in the beginning.
So you said 500K was approximately when you started stepping back from performance and went straight to sales / operations?
So that would have been per section. Like I wanted to do 500K in line painting. So I was still seal coating at 500,000. And then I subbed out all the line painting though, once I hit 500K, because I couldn't do all the sealing and painting. And then
Right.
from there,
Just too much
so for
volume.
for me to fully step out, like pretty much, I would say I was like right around $1 million. Like I was like 980, somewhere in there. And then it was like, okay, I need to start focusing on the business more than in.
But pretty much sales and performance, self-performing right up to 500K, then you start stepping back on certain things.
Yep.
Hours
So
per
I
day.
did everything myself up to 500K. Then I started bringing in performance partners to buy myself time without giving myself a fixed overhead. So I didn't cut my bottom line.
Right. Got it. So you basically step back from a 12-hour performance / sales day to the same 12 hours, but now you're just eliminating one of those processes because you couldn't take any more time out of your life. You got kids and family, whatever. Got it.
Yep. And so then, again, maybe I bought myself 4 hours from not painting, which allowed me to have 4 more hours of sales, which allowed me to fill the pipeline more, which drove me to 750, a million. Now I'm saying I need to start bringing everybody in house because I'm doing, a couple 100,000 of paint. I'm doing this much patching. I'm doing this much this. And now I have a team. And then it was, focus on completely.
Yeah. Got it. Okay, cool. Does anybody have questions about that part of it? Yep. Edwin, go for it, brother. Can't hear you, brother. We can't. Anybody else hear Edwin? I don't hear him. Not hearing you, brother. It may be your connection. I don't know, but I can't
Yeah,
hear
it looks like
anything.
he's freezing up.
Yeah. Nothing yet. Say something. No, nothing yet. Sorry, brother. Maybe try hop off and then hop back on. We can take care of it then. Just try, but it might be your Wi-Fi.
Or just
Go ahead, Mike.
video.
You're muted, brother. Got to turn that the mute off there.
It sucks being blind, y'all, especially
There we
on this
go. You're in.
iPhone. Even with my glasses on, I can't hardly see. Hey, Skyler, so I got a quick question for you because part of what I'm trying to build up and I'm trying to perform all kinds of different stuff. And I've come to the realization that, the seal coating, I just ain't quite ready for it yet, but I've built some relationships with some seal coaters and some pavers. So I am out there trying to sell it, more focusing on the equipment that I do have, the line stripers and some of the patching and the pothole. But so does that sound like a good thing to be doing?
I would use those performance partners, man, especially with line striping. Like I always say, everybody thinks they're getting into the line striping business until they realize that seal coating and crack filling kind of come with it. And you don't even need to do it. You just need to find the partners that'll do it for you and take that cut, and that's what I would say, do that. Make sure you strengthen those relationships with those partners, sell the jobs. Don't even worry about the minutia of it. Let them worry about the minutia of it. Let them worry about hiring, firing, buying equipment, doing the thing, and just make your 10% ripple on the top, man.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely.
Edwin, you're back, brother. Let me know what you got for sound. See if you're back.
Can you hear me now?
Boom, you're in. Yes, sir.
Excellent. I kind of got a few quick questions there for you, Skylar. I'm currently in our 7th year of business. We are family owned and operated, as well as the only Indigenous owned asphalt company here in Victoria, British Columbia. And I have personally been paving for 17 years. I'm 35 and started it as a summer job with my uncle working out of the back of his truck. And now our company. Can you still hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, okay, you just transferred to the car. Yeah, I've been doing seal coating for a really long time. We just bought our first like 5-ton pickup truck for bigger pave jobs. Last year we hit $100,000. I mean, which isn't too bad. There's only 3 of us working.
We lost you, brother. I don't know what happened there. Something cut out. When you pulled that thing out of your ear, it disappeared.
Okay, can you hear me now?
You're back, yeah.
Okay. What's the name of the sealer that you use?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm in good old Pennsylvania where coal tar is still very prominent. So yeah, we still
Okay.
we still use coal tar. It's what I started on. It's what I still use to today. And again, in Pennsylvania, we have no issues, so we use coal tar.
Okay. Unfortunately, that's not allowed here in Canada. We
Yeah.
do use something called I think it's Jet Seal 2000, and it is a water-based rubberized asphalt product made from recycled car tires. Unfortunately, it only lasts on a driveway, depending on usage and slope and everything, for about 3 years. So I've been trying to find a better seal coating product to use for my customers. I also don't use a sprayer. I use a giant 3-foot broom, like a paintbrush still, which kind of sucks on bigger jobs. But yeah.
Yeah. So to be clear, we still have a residential sector of our business. We'll do like 800 and some homes this year. It's very common. We do a large volume of residential, and then we have our commercial sector of the business. And I would say you would just sell more frequent, again, if you were in business 7 years, I think you said, I would be making sure you're doing those jobs every 2 to 3 years. And that's where you learn how, what I refer to it as is your annuity fund, right? Those jobs should be coming back every 2 or 3 years. It's cash in the bank. The folders or the files just get bigger and bigger, and you're just top of mind. And again, our largest revenue generator for residential seal coating like that is direct mail, dude. Snail mail, direct mail. We send the mailer out. Hey, it's been 3 years. We already have their square footage because we did it before in our CRM. Here's the pre-calculated square footage. Here's the updated pricing. Would you like to move forward? Put your name here. People sign it and send us $1 million in the mail, just about, right? Like they just send them back, and there's like next thing, it's like Christmas. We get these stacks of mail, and it's the most ridiculous thing ever. Like I hate it. I hate mail. I wouldn't put a stamp on it if someone gave me a stamp for free and send it back, but it works. So like every 2 to 3 years, I would 100% make sure you're hitting up those clients. Like I think that's the game, right? I don't know if I'd be looking for a better product. I would just be looking to how do I make sure they're coming back and they're super satisfied and we're retargeting them when they're due. Because we do the same.
Yeah, because we've got about 15 or 20 that are rotating. So we get a call every year to go do the same people's place again. And I mean, thankfully, each time we seal coat it, it takes less and less product. I've got actually a driveway she likes to get done every year, and it's about 1,200 square feet. And by now it's probably got almost a 1/4 inch of sealer on it, and it takes half a 5-gallon bucket to seal coat it. So it's
Yeah, it becomes a balance per se, right? You know, you can overseal and sometimes you'll get the sealer stress cracks. But some people,
yeah.
like you're saying, maybe like that lady where she is demanding, I want sealer on the driveway every year, right? And I 100% would say,
Yep.
ma'am, I don't recommend doing this, but we can seal it again if
Yep.
you want, right? And I would happily probably take the check because that's what she wants, because she wants a nice black coating on it every single year. She's going to see the stress cracks or quote unquote sealer cracks, might even start peeling. You sell her a good pressure wash or, you know, eventually a mill and pave or whatever it is, right? But you know, again, I would kind of do the same thing. And just how do you get more of those, you know, because it gets really fun when you get a couple hundred of them, right? If we look at it statistically, say we hold like 60% retention, it means like 500 driveways are going to come back basically for free in 3 years for a 70-cent piece of mail I send them, like for a couple $1,000 driveway. Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Edwin, did you have any other questions, brother?
Nope, not about what we're currently talking about.
Awesome. Hey,
One
Chris,
thing I
did you
want to
have-
jump in here real quick, Matthias, and piggyback on that. Just remember, if you're not talking to your clients, somebody else is. So staying in touch with them and staying top of mind is really important. And that little postcard, that's gold, man. That is just gold. And stay in touch with your clients. Send them a Christmas card, whatever that looks like for you. Being top of mind, reaching out and touching, because I'll guarantee you, if you're not, somebody else is.
One of the biggest things I find in sales, because we're all salespeople, doesn't matter who we are, every one of us, whether you're in a job or you're in your own business or you're just talking to somebody, you're selling. And if you're not in communication, like Rob said, somebody else is. But it also means that you need to have some value. It needs to be valuable communication. It can be just a note. I really appreciate your business. It's something that's simple. They can hold their hand and look at it. Man, that's awesome. You know, like I don't know if any of your kids ever did paper routes when they're kids. I had a paper route when I was a kid. One of the biggest things I did was I would, when it came down to the Christmas time, with my last paper before Christmas, I would put a card in it. Boom, you should see how many tips I got after Christmas. They're like, wow. And I had envelopes and stuff with money. And it's funny because I didn't do it because of that, but because my parents said, you need to make sure that all those people are thanked because you make an income off them. So I would do this little thing. Sometimes be 20, 30 bucks in there. And for a kid in the 80s, man, come on, that was huge money. So do those little things. I think the gives that we talk about here, be that, you know, give something to get something. There's a great guy that's part of our group. His name is Chris, the striping guy. I'm sure you guys have seen him on YouTube before. But Chris, I remember his first story was he went and line striped his school for free at the cost of whatever the paint was. And then another one where he went on a date with his wife and he saw a handicaps sign that was pretty deteriorated at the restaurant. Said, hey, do you mind if I come back tomorrow and just touch this up for you? And the owner's like, yeah, that'd be great. So he comes by the next day, does up the stencil work on the handicap stall. And the owner of the restaurant goes, wow, that's amazing. Hey, by the way, could you send me do a quote for the rest of the parking lot of my restaurant here? I have 14 other ones. You know, when you give something of value and you provide somebody with really good upfront service, you'll find that this is, like we said, Skylar said it, I know Judd said it umpteen times, this is a relationship-based business. And if you're a giving person, you do what you need to do for your customers, providing them with good products and services, they will come back as long as they remember that you're there. So I love the card part. That's awesome.
I also think too that as contractors, especially in this industry, the only way you can't give anybody something if you don't have anything to give. And again, that is majority of the problem is you guys, like I would probably make a lot of your guys' head spin when I say the amount of technology and the things and the add-ons. You know, again, we were out selling the other day and my sales manager sparked a relationship of it was a church and there was like Raising Cane's across the street. And she said, I've never been there. You want to know what he did? He went right back and he bought her a gift card and sent it to her. And we didn't even send the quote yet. Right. But the thing is, we're able to do those type of things because we have margin built in. and we sell with enough value to be able to have enough money to do those things. It's really hard to give the cards even, right? It's hard. My direct mail campaign was $6-7 grand, but it makes me a ton of money, right? And sometimes, you know, contractors going, I can't even imagine spending $7 grand on that, right? But you got to be able to sell jobs at a high enough margin where there's money in your pocket, there's money in your team's pocket, there's money in the business's pocket, and then there's more, right? Like there's more to do these things, to have the opportunities to give back, to be able to pay it forward. So
And you're never
I
going to
encourage
start
you
out spending $7 grand, just so you know. You're
Yeah,
going to spend
no.
20 or 30 bucks. You have 10 clients, whatever that is. It
Yeah.
grows with you. Your clients grow with you. And as you give, you'll have more to give next year.
As long as you raise your prices and charge more, because it's what you deserve and everybody deserves it. The client deserves a better experience. You
Yes.
deserve more cash in your pockets. Your teammates deserve higher pay. That's it.
100%. Welcome to the call, Matt. Appreciate you jumping in, brother. Yeah, so that covers starting out your first year, some of the things that changed. That covers hiring and letting go of people. That covers relationship-based selling and things you need to be doing to make sure that your clients are happy and still remember who you are after 2 or 3 years, especially residential. Typically, your commercial will be biannually, or maybe even, or you know, once every 2 years at the very most, probably. But make sure that you're communicating on a regular basis, and make sure that your email drips remind them that you're still there. Cool. Anybody have questions about that part of the business? Comments? Anything?
I'll add on to that.
Sounds
So
great.
how many, like the people that are on here, how many calls and emails did you get from Asphalt Kingdom before you did business with us? I mean, you don't have to answer that, but when I talk to people about marketing, I tell them, look, you're going to do the same thing that we're doing. We're teaching you to market. So we're going to drip email you. We're going to call you. We're going to text you. We're going to do the things that are marketing based to bring business in, because it takes what, 8 to 12 touches now to actually
24.
earn somebody's business. Yeah. And more. I mean, you know, ask Matthias straight up. He's worked with people for a year before they did business and constantly in contact with them. You know, you want to make sure that you're there. And when they do decide to get into the business and decide to go forward, they're thinking about you, because we truly add so much more value than just an order. I mean, is there another asphalt company that has this forum that you go to and you can ask questions and talk to somebody and jump in here and say, you know, I've got a job here. Can I get some help and get some pricing? And all I tell people to do when you're marketing is get a checklist and go through it. Make sure you have digital presence. Make sure you're reaching out by text. Make sure that you're sending, like we're talking about, postcards and things like that. I mean, think of the return on $6,000 and they send Skylar $1 million on that $6,000. If you calculate the return on that, that's astronomical return. Huge. You aren't going to get that anywhere, and it works. It's crazy, but it works. People still look at their mail, man. But just start doing what we're doing. When you see us call or text and all that stuff, then think of your clients and go, hey, you know what? Matthias called me the other day. I'm going to call my client. And just, you know, use it as a trigger if you want to, but start that way, because you've got to stay in front of them. And if you're getting business that way, you've got to go back, you've got to talk to them, build relationships to keep them going forward, and establish a friendly relationship. You know, going and buying that gift card was brilliant. How much did it cost? $10? Maybe you got $100,000 job out of that $10.
Yeah.
You know, that's really, just think about that for a minute, man. That's all you got to do.
Adding to that was if you're looking at it from a sales perspective and you're looking at it from providing value, you're looking at it from repeat business, those touch points and the value you provide for your client and customer is so key to your business. Skylar, Matt, anybody that's been in business for some period of time will know that there is outreach going out on a consistent basis. Look at what Robert just said. On a regular basis, you're making 30 to 60 calls a day minimum. You're dripping emails, you're dripping texts. Like when I call someone, I don't just call them, go, hey, really appreciate you, you know, blah, blah. If I get a voicemail, I'm leaving a voicemail. After I finish that, I hang up, I send an email. Hey, was just reaching out to you, looking to make sure that everything we've been doing is up to speed. I never leave a customer, even if I've sold, and I don't know anybody here on the screen here that wouldn't do this, but when I sell something to someone, if I provide them with a product or service that we provide, 2 weeks later, I already have a set up task to follow up, make sure that number one, they got what they asked for. Number two, make sure that what they asked for is working for them the way they need to. And typically I'm told, yeah, I'm actually going to need some of this and this and this and this down the road. Give me a buzz in a week and I'll put another order in. So what's happening is there's a relationship. It's symbiotic. It helps everyone. It helps you and your customer. Your customer may also go, oh, I just finished this and this and this on it. Oh, I have another parking lot. Or I found there was a parking lot with 2 potholes I need repaired. Do you mind stopping by? There's always something that comes from that conversation if you're open and giving information on asking if they need help, whatever it is that you're looking to connect with. But I find that a conversation or an email or a text will typically spark something for them. And like Rob said, it's the top of mind portion of it for you right away. We're heading into our last 4 minutes. I'm open for any questions you guys have. So pop your hand up if you have a question. We can throw those out. Anything you're pulled away from this meeting you want to share? Would love to hear that as well. Yes, Ben.
So, the guest couple, just a comment and a question, right? The thing that keeps coming back to my head is millionaires build systems, right? And they don't focus on the job, they build systems, right? And when it comes to system processes, is that what you guys teach on the coaching program? How to set those up?
Where is he? Dylan, he didn't show up, did he? All right. So yes, is the answer to that. Simple, straightforward. Skylar, you know a lot about this stuff here too. You want to throw in a couple 2 cents on that?
Yeah. Typically you have, course-based curriculum, or you come and say, hey, these are the things that I need help with. I need a documented sales process. I need to figure out how to get leads. I need to figure out how to quote clients. I need to figure out X, Y, and Z. And then typically that is worked with through a coach or a mentor through Asphalt Kingdom, and then helps you build the systems alongside of you. They give you the guidance or the framework for you to go and execute.
Because to me, Skylar, just based on your experience, right? To me, it seems like you would have been able to catapult a lot easier and faster if you would have had those resources at the beginning of your career, instead of having to bump your head against the wall and trying to figure it out on your own, which is pretty admirable, right? What you did, but just hearing your story, it seems like you would have catapulted a lot quicker, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you were here last week, but what's it been now, Matthias? 2 years, 2.5, something like that. Probably somewhere in there. Yeah. So like say halfway-ish through my journey, I invested into Asphalt Kingdom coaching and, spent multiple sites. I was on multiple infield trainings. I flew all around the country, Canada, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Anguilla, right? I invested a ton in coaching and mentoring and systems and processes, and still do today, right? It's like, it's still a large line item in my P&L. I think, what did I say? 35 grand in the past 12 months I've spent, I'm pretty sure, on just coaching and mentoring and systems and processes and bringing the right people in and that type of thing. So yes, in the beginning, I wish I would have had it sooner. I wish I would have had it day one instead of year 2.5. And I wish I could do more and more and more of it, because you're right, it does scale you significantly quicker.
Awesome. I'll schedule a call with you, man. I know you sent me a calendar placeholder, but I want to pick your brain a little bit more on that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mr. Malone, you wanted to share something. Go for it.
Yes, guys. So if you are, or if you're not currently on AK Dash, next week we're actually launching our attentive AI integration. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick second exclusive sneak peek. So what I showed last week looked like this. So this is the auto measure tool for advanced paving. So this is all AI doing this, and it's being double checked to confirm 98% accuracy on the measurements. So just wanted to show that again. And then if you're like Michael and you're focusing on just line striping, We do have the capability to do auto measures on just line striping as well. And then we also actually have exclusive access to their mapping tool. So Attentive by themselves, they do provide these measuring tools or the auto measure with the AI, but they do not allow other people to use the manual measurement tool that they gave us access to. So just so you guys, especially if you are an existing customer or have used Google Maps before, it can be a little bit clunky, but the user experience with this, it's so much easier. You can quite literally grab it at any point of the boundary. Super
That's
adjustable, way more user friendly. And now you have the capability to manually do measurements for line striping as well. So what you can do is you can just do an 18-foot line, then you can copy and paste it along. You can also point out concrete medians, potholes. You can do zoning. A lot of things that you can do manually out this. I kind of just was doodling around here, but just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that.
Sweet. Awesome. Anybody have questions on that? Excellent. And just before we hop off, who got something from this meeting they didn't have before they walked in the door? Throw your hand up if you did. Awesome, man. You know, the number one point of this call, I believe, is to really just, number one, help grow our network. Number two, help each and every one of you guys grow and scale your business. Start, grow, and scale your business if you're new. And if we can help in any way, we really appreciate each one of you jumping on. I got Hugo as hand up. What's up, Hugo?
Hey, how you doing? This is my first time
Amazing.
here. Thanks.
Welcome.
Thanks to Robert for inviting me. And just like he said, it's amazing, you know, valuable information. I'm eager to start. I'm just trying to get all the pieces done. So I'm looking forward to it.
Welcome,
Appreciate it.
Hugo.
Thank you.
Anytime, brother. We're here every single week.
Thank you. Thank
We'll
you very
see.
much.
Absolutely. We'll see every one of you guys here, same time, same place, next week on the AK Roundtable. I appreciate
Thanks,
you all
everyone.
for stopping.
Hugo, good to
Thank
see you, man.
everyone.
Thank you, Robert. Likewise.
You're welcome, buddy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Hey,
Skylar.
Matthias.
Appreciate it, man. Good input, buddy.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
Matthias,
Thank you.
you got a second?
Thank you.
I do, brother. What's going
Hey.
on?
Yeah, I just had a quick question for you.
Sure.
So is Dylan still on there? Dylan Malone?
He is. It's right there.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
so with the mapping tool, so now versus what we could used to do when we ordered the AI takeoffs, we can go in there and we can cut and copy a bunch of stuff like you had just doodled on there with the like pothole, because whenever I do mine with the AI, it don't say 18 foot, you know, on the lines. You got to go all the way to the left to the sidebar and kind of look at all that. It just kind of shows the line like a white line with a certain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as we introduce that more, are y'all going to be doing some more tutorials on that? I know they got an AI thing they're doing next Thursday. Is a lot more of that going to be introduced there on how to use that?
Yes, sir. Kind of limited visibility for now because we're not going live until next week. But
Okay.
as you know, June rolls through, we're going to start getting more detailed. And then, of course, if you need any one-on-one trainings, we'll be happy to set that up too.
But
All right.
remember too, we have a vault of videos inside of AK Dash. You can actually see step by step how to do everything. And I'm sure we're going to be adding in Attentive AI video instruction as well. So you can do those specifics. For stuff that's not necessarily in there though, you can definitely set up a call.
Oh, and most definitely, if anybody's got the vault and they ain't went and looked at it, it's like having a treasure that you never even knew about. Go check it out. A lot of that stuff is in there. All right,
Let's
y'all. We'll
go.
see y'all. Thanks. Take it easy,
Thank you.
Skylar.
Appreciate
Later,
you
brother.
all. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for your help, Skylar. I really appreciate the support. Chris, amazing
Yeah,
meeting you
man.
in person, brother.
Good seeing you guys.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you too. Thomas, hasta luego. Thanks, Dylan. Cheers, guys. Have a good one. See you next week.